I want to talk about the allegations here, and by the time we're recording this, the A-lister name has not yet been revealed by anyone. There's a lot of speculation online on who it may be. The New York Post did a very interesting piece just the other week, talking about the video. Some attorneys have seen it that's being shopped around, but there was some concern in this video about the individual, the A-lister, being victimized again, because it said that this person may also be a victim of him. And this person they were not quite sure if this person was even of age, this A-lister, at the time of the videotaping. Now, put the dots together, I think it's pretty easy to guess who this might be. My question would be, if this is someone who has also been a victim of Diddy, because if this is the person I think it is, I believe they truly have been a victim of Diddy and have been groomed most of their life. If they're caught in these videos and they are shown to be interacting with basically like this, like incapacitated people, and going along with it, uh, does an individual like that have anything to worry about with charges against them? I mean, obviously, they're going to have to take, hopefully, at some point, probably in a court, the grooming into consideration and the abuse that the
Mhm.
individual suffered to think that this is normal or healthy. But I would imagine, even if they were a victim of Diddy, even if they were groomed into this, they're still going to be facing a level of responsibility if they're found to be doing something illegal or taking advantage of another human being.
Boy, that's an interesting question. I guess it would just be up to the attorneys prosecuting
Mhm.
to determine if they think that they could win on something like that, or if they would just rather say this person was a victim and let it go. I think it's going to be hard to convict somebody who's a minor, on
If they
something
were a
like that.
minor at the time,
If they were a
they're not
minor,
sure, but
yeah.
if they're not a
Mm,
minor and they were an adult and then we're in a
yeah,
different territory. I mean
yeah.
it kind of, I mean, once you groom somebody, they can be a totally different human being. They can be exactly what that dark person groomed them to be.
Mhm,
And then they will carry out things that, if they didn't have that sort of influence at a very influential time in
mhm,
their young lives, they would not have done.
mhm.
I mean, the Menendez brothers case, things like that, where they were abused forever. They finally lashed
Yeah.
out and did what they needed to do, and that's all obviously being re-examined now. But I think we're going to find some of that here in this case with a lot of young people. Diddy did seem to try and surround himself and influence a lot of young people before they had
Mm.
much ways of the world in their head to do what they wanted to do. And I'm just wondering how harsh society is going to judge those people and the legal system.
Yeah, yeah, and certainly victims become perpetrators all the time,
Hmm.
Fortunately, not all, but it definitely can happen.
It's it's just all around very dark and shocking. Let's talk about another aspect of this case, and I'm curious to look at this from a psychological standpoint. Diddy's mom, Janice Combs, she has released a statement. Interestingly enough, not through her own attorneys or independently, but through Diddy's attorneys and directly through that law office. Basically saying this is a public lynching and these accusations aren't true and he deserves to stay in court. Does address the Cassie beating, but also kind of says we all are, I'm paraphrasing here, like we all have bad days, very downplaying it.
Mhm,
And then just kind of moves on to saying, because this one is out there, not all these other ones mean that they're true, despite the hundreds of accusations. What the hell do
mhm.
you think this woman is going through right now? I guess a lot of it depends how much she was aware of. But if we're assuming she didn't know and she was very insulated from the reality of what her son was doing behind the curtains, how is someone contemplating this and
It
moving
you
forward?
know, yeah, it just strikes me we talk about denial,
Mhm.
we've talked so much about how people can just see what's right in front of them yet not see it. Talk about denial, and it seems like her story in life has been what a great son she has and what talent he has,
Mhm.
that he's displaying. It came from somewhere. It came from someone telling him when he was growing up that he could do no wrong and that he was wonderful and he was better than other people. And that's my guess going to be the story that she tells forever, no matter what. evidence comes out to say otherwise. I don't think she's in reality at all. And that doesn't mean she's psychotic. She's not delusional, but she lives with her own version of the truth. And it's very different from what objective truth is.
Well, I mean, just think of that for a second. I mean, if you're going all the way back to the early '90s. She sees her young, 20-some-year-old son coming up in the music industry, making a
Mhm.
massive name for himself, becoming one of
Mhm.
the most powerful music executives in history, one of the most wealthiest, one of the most powerful. In public, seen as being very liked by all sorts of celebrities, philanthropists, all this, and then suddenly boom. Turns out that was the facade, and there's something much darker happening on the other side. I don't know that anyone's mind can wrap around that. If that's your child, especially, and you've had this vision of them, and you've only seen this version of them for so long, um, to be able to take a look at that objectively and say, "Oh, maybe there is some dark stuff going on."
I don't know, he was always a jerk. I never followed the guy, but looking
Yeah,
back, decades into interviews with him, the ego, the
yeah,
narcissism, the boasting. I mean, the guy was a jerk, and I would be the first one as a mom. I've got 2 sons. If they were being a jerk and being narcissistic and boastful, I'd be the first one to
hmm,
knock them upside the head and say, "Knock it off with that nonsense," you know? It's like, that's just not a person that you admire, and
sure,
those are qualities that I think he very likely got from
hmm,
her. She fed this sense of narcissism and unearned glory and
yeah.
power. And he's a creep. He's just a creep.
Hey, thanks for checking out the video. Be sure to follow us wherever you download podcasts, and especially Apple Podcasts, where you can get advanced episode and premium content on our premium channel right there. Also, be sure to follow us on social media so you don't miss any breaking updates on the stories that matter to you most. We're on TikTok, X, Instagram, Facebook. Just search Hidden Killers Podcast with Tony Brueski, and you'll find us right there. Again, thanks for watching.